What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Just a Minute. Hey, I'm your HoopSeen host, Austin Smith. And as always, I'm joined by the one and only editor-in-chief here at HoopSeen.com, Justin Young. JY, we're back at it again for another week, man. I'm feeling good. How are you, brother?
I'm great. It's my favorite time of the year where we're kind of out of the pause a little bit, where we have the spring period of April behind us. Those tip-off events are behind us in March. Now here we are in May. We've got some storylines that are already created. We've got some pecking orders starting to take place as far as positional battles within different states, different regions, different classes. We've got college coaches that I think are coming out of the woodwork a little bit more, starting to recruit some high school guys. And Austin, all I know is I see on the horizon over there, they got the Best of South coming up in July too. So, man, I'm really good. And on top of that, man, we got a loaded Bob Gibbons Tournament of Champions coming up next weekend in Atlanta at Swanee Sports Academy. So that's a loaded answer to an easy question, but that's how I'm feeling right now, Austin.
Man, I totally get it. This time of year, this May period where it gets closer and closer, man, like to the summer, it feels great. And I'm with you 1,000% on that. Well, JY, we know here at HoopSeen, we're having an off week kind of sort of in a way that we didn't have any events going on. But as always, our staff was out and about. But what I want to do in this episode is pivot a bit because you've been spending a lot of time on the West Coast covering a ton of action, man, and it's been going down in a real way. Let me talk to you about this, JY. 3 weeks ago, before the Grassroots Showcase, you spent some time at the Battle Zone in Corona, California, ran by the Compton Magic. Go ahead and tell everyone today, man, what was the experience like at that event?
Yeah, it was really good. So the West Coast is interesting because you have some states, particularly California, where some players are playing with their scholastic teams Monday through Friday, and on the weekends they're joining their travel teams. And so it's a lot of basketball. It also makes for a really difficult way to plan to see some guys. But as we know, California is one of the top 3 states in the country when it comes to producing talent from a sheer number standpoint, star power standpoint. So I knew that I wanted to get out there to California. So when California finally started to kind of lift some restrictions a little bit, and they had some basketball, Compton Magic put this Battle Zone together for 2 weekends. The event I was at was their championship weekend in their brackets. So it was a great opportunity to see some teams from Northern California, from Southern California, from Arizona, from different places out in the West. Really good opportunity to see some guys out there that I haven't had a chance to see. I mean, I haven't seen some of these guys since the youth festival, development festival at Colorado Springs at USA Basketball. Man, almost 2 years ago. So it's been a long time coming to see a lot of these guys up close and personal, and getting out to California was great.
Wow. Well, JY, hey, one of the players in particular who had a monster weekend was Kajani Wright. He's obviously one of the best big guys here nationally, man. Tell us a little bit about him and what you saw from him that weekend.
Yeah, so he's with Compton Magic, probably one of the premier big men in the class of 2022. Like I said, I haven't seen him since USA Basketball in Colorado Springs, or maybe it was in Miami or Fort Lauderdale. I can't remember, but it was a USA Basketball event. Was the last time that I saw him play. So to see him in person almost 2 years later, he looked fantastic. We talk a lot about Jalen Duran in the class of 22, maybe the best big guy, or maybe the best prospect, overall in the entire class. Had a huge weekend against Amani Bates a couple of weekends ago. And that narrative, I think, is growing a lot more momentum. But after that, there's not that many guys that are like legitimate big men that are physically imposing, that can step out and shoot the three. I think Jerace Walker from IMG is a guy that I really, really like. But man, Kajani Wright looked like $1 million. I mean, he really did. He looked very similar to what Jalen Duran is physically, which is like a Greek god. I mean, just big and strong and present. The minute you walk in the gym, like, oh, who's that dude? Yeah. Like, he's one of those guys. Big, broad shoulders. He's always been that type of guy, but he's, a senior now, has all the physical maturity that you want to see. Excuse me, he's a rising senior is what I should have said. Has all the physical maturity that you want to see out of a really dominant, present big man that we have in the class. He's a top 10 guy nationally. Certainly didn't fall off of that from a physical standpoint. You saw some things from him as a shot blocker. You saw some things from him as a, drop down, drop step over the shoulder, hook shot type of guy. Saw him as a guy that can run the floor. The Mobley brothers certainly set the tone for a lot of the younger players in Southern California, particularly with Compton Magic. Kajani Wright, probably no strangers as he's seeing those guys run up and down the floor as before they even started for USC. So a lot of star power with Kajani Wright. I thought he was as good as you would expect a 5-star big man to be. Right. But I'll be honest with you, man, I thought the guy that really got me more excited than anybody within the Compton Magic program was on their 1600 team was a guy named Curtis Williams. 6'6", all the arms and legs that you want out of a premier big. He reminds me a lot of those guys that are a top 35, top 50 level wing in the country as far as physical gifts that he has. But Curtis is out of Etiwanda High School, and no stranger of a program that's created some high level players over the years, over the decades, really. But I thought Curtis Williams was a guy that when you're looking, if that was a live period event, Austin, he would have walked out of there with a number, I think, Pac-12 high major schools that are like, who's this dude? We got to get after him. We got to recruit him. So he's somebody that if you're a college coach in the class of 23, you want to put him high on your list.
Wow. Yeah, man. He's definitely going to keep raising the totem pole, and rising up, man. Definitely with that goes physical tools, at least. JY, we know that also, along with those guys from Compton Imagine, there's another program, a team that caught your eye. Let's go ahead and talk about Arizona Firestorm.
Yeah.
And the impact they had, man, the number of players that you saw from their group.
Yeah, so they I don't want to say they ran the table, but they won the 16 and under and 15 and under division at this event. And they beat Compton Magic along the way, who I thought both of their programs had some high-level dudes. But Arizona Firestorm, really impressive group. Their 16 and under team, I thought, was probably the deepest. They may be let me think, just snap judgment here. But they, from top to bottom, they may be the deepest college prospect team that I've seen in the West. Now, mind you, I haven't seen a ton of teams in the West comparative to what I've seen from back East. But that Firestorm 16 under team, they probably have 7 guys that are going to be high level or highly recruited, active Division I type of prospects on that team. Their 16 under team, I think, is really impressive, man. They have players for, I think, for every level of basketball. But they also have a bunch of guys that are unselfish. They have a bunch of guys that know how to play basketball. They have a bunch of guys that know how to shoot. They have a bunch of guys that know how to pass. So you have a lot of guys with some high-level skill. I thought Jason Fontenot was a class of 23 guy from Phoenix, Arizona, is a guy that's going to be really an interesting prospect to watch. I've talked to a lot of really good academic programs that are mid-major plus type of schools. I've talked to some Pac-12 schools about him. He already has probably a handful of offers from regional, like mid-major schools here in the West. But Jason Fontenot is a guy that I think the more we watch him play, the more his interest is going to grow, just because he has a high level of understanding. Plays at a terrific program here in Phoenix at St. Mary's. Really well taught, really good funded skill. Great passer, great defender, great size for a guard. I thought Jason Fontenot was really, really good. But the guy also, too, on that team, Austin, is a guy named Cody Williams at Perry High School in Gilbert, Arizona. 6'7", maybe 6'8". His brother plays at San Jose State as a sophomore, averaged about 10 points a game. A lot of pro teams, I think, have him on their secret sleeper list. Kind of like Devin Vassell. Remember Devin Vassell was a guy that kind of came on late. I think his brother is very similar to that. But Cody Williams, the younger Williams, class of 23 kid, is the guy. Arizona's 2023 class, Austin, is tremendous. I think it's really, really good. He's up there, I think, is one of the top 3 prospects in the state of Arizona for the class of 23. Played really, really well. Smooth shooting guy. Reminds me a lot of Jeremy Lamb, actually. Remember Jeremy Lamb that played at Norcross?
Norcross, great.
Been playing all over the NBA now for probably a decade. That makes it old. But Cody Williams is a guy that I think has a chance to really be an impressive prospect moving forward. And again, that 23 class in Arizona has got some dudes that can really go. One last guy with Firestorm, I'd be remiss to bring him up. I've been doing this for probably, 20 plus years. And I can probably count on this many fingers, maybe, on how many guys from New Mexico that I've seen. And I'm like, that guy can really play. And I saw another player from New Mexico, from Albuquerque, named Marcus Wilson, that's on the 15 under team for Arizona Firestorm. That is a dude that can really, really go. Terrific point guard, three sport athlete, starting quarterback, starting point guard, runs track, really impressive athlete, great defender, great rebounder on that 15 under team. I don't get too excited about guys that are in the 15 under division because there's a lot of time between their 15U and the time that they're on the back end of their 17U. So much can change. But Marcus Wilson did enough to make me stand up and go watch him again. Love what he brought to the table. And you don't hear too many guys from the state of New Mexico that I think really bring it a type of attention and a praise from a national platform quite like this. So really like what Marcus Wilson and Firestorm brought to the table. But all in all, Austin, you can go to hoopseen.com, just search for Battle Zone. I've got my story up there on the site. Go check it out. But we'll have more coverage, a lot more coverage, I think, in the years to come out here in the West, particularly to LA. I mean, how can you not go to LA and cover basketball,
Jay, why you making it happen, man? You covering players in California, covering guys from New Mexico, covering guys from Arizona. I want to keep it going with your track record, man. Let's talk Las Vegas now, because you spent some time there at the Best of the West. Big time event, ton of high heavy hitting guys.
Yeah.
What did you see in Vegas?
Yeah, so it was a good chance to be in Vegas. It's the first travel basketball event in Vegas in over almost 18 months. So I thought that was really important to get back up there. A city on our in grassroots basketball, you always know that you're going to go to Vegas at least once a year. At least that's kind of how it's always been. And we knew there was going to be action out there in Las Vegas that was worth getting out to. And so when you have a guy like Dior Johnson that's going to be out there with Vegas Elite, playing with them, I think you got to get out there and see him. And so I did. Thought Vegas Elite was good. Pop Isaacs was out. He had a back injury, or not even a back injury, but he was hurt, didn't play. And so that kind of kept him out. So I put the ball in Dior Johnson's hands a little bit more. Really good playmaker. A lot of people have him ranked in the top 10. I still think it's a pretty early, just because we don't have it in totality to see everybody in apples to apples. Actually, I tweeted this out yesterday, Austin. I want to get your thoughts on this, and we can kind of go off subject a little bit here.
Cool.
But like, we don't have a lot of apples to apples opportunities to see players. Like, we've seen a lot in the South, right? Like guys playing against each other in the South. That's why I think we love the Grassroots Showcase, because we took some different regions and kind of meshed them together. But like, how hard is it to have an opinion on a national level when we don't have guys playing each other at a national level?
Don't have guys playing each other. Like you said, guys aren't playing as many events.
Yeah.
It's been a whole year basically where the schedule and landscape has changed. So it's not necessarily virtually impossible, but it's really, really tough to compare guys who need those levels together. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't take like the 5 best point guards and the 5 best wings and the 5 best bigs and put them in drill stations or competition stations like we do at, NBA camp, which I know is coming. I know those events are coming. Particularly younger guys, like every summer, like Ty Young and I would always go out to St. Louis for the Nike Elite 100 camp, which is really a top underclassmen that Nike has on their circuit. And there's some guys that are mixed in, but like, that's a huge opportunity for us to get a fast forward jump start on a lot of these guys. And so if you're in the class of 23 and younger, and maybe even some guys in the class of 22 class for that matter, but like 23 and 24, I think like we may be a little behind, I think, nationally, just trying to see guys. We're seeing little pockets here and there. Right. So when we see somebody like Marcus Wilson, like I talked about, like you got to really take notice, because it may be a while before you see them again on a real apples to apples. And I think for college coaches too, when we have those conversations, that's why they're so centrally focused on the senior class, because there's not a lot of opportunity. There's not a lot of A versus B testing that you can kind of look at a prospect, Anyways, I went off on a little tangent, but I feel like I had to do that because we have a guy like Dior Johnson, who's a top 10 guy, but I want to see him against other like-minded guards in that class, Amari Bailey and Sky Clark and some of these other guys, and getting them in these type of situations where we can see them play against each other. I know it's coming. So I'm just trying to still be patient. But when you're there, and if you're at a regional event, if you're a top level guy, you need to bring it every single play. Right. And I know that's so cliche, but you have to carry that momentum over into what's around the corner in July and beyond. And that's an opportunity for you to really separate yourself on a national level. Anyways, my rant is over. But
highly needed, JY.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go on that because from an evaluation standpoint, like we have to have those instances. And that's why I think, and this is a great pivot, there were a number of other guys that were West Coast guys, local guys, Vegas guys in Vegas that I thought did that. And they're playing for teams that were matched up against some of these sponsored teams, against some of these ranked players. I thought Josh Jefferson, who plays for West Coast Select, who played at our camp that we had in Utah back in October from Las Vegas Liberty High School, was outstanding. 6'8", can step out and shoot the three. Absolutely got triple teamed and had no problem scoring in his big size down low. Got one for a 30 spot against Vegas Elite on opening night. I think it may have been like the last minute of the game. He turned his ankle really bad, went down. I saw him the next day in a walking boot. So that was it. That was his weekend. But in that one game that he had, that impression that he made, bro, I'm texting everybody that's in the gym. There's some other guys out there. They're texting guys at the high major level going, recruit this dude. Recruit this guy. Terrific, terrific player. I think he's a guy that's going to be in everybody's top 100 list. Josh Jefferson, Vegas Liberty High School, West Coast Select. Terrific prospect. Gets better every time I see him. Really own that stage. Going back to what we're talking about, you have to own your regional opportunities. He certainly did that. Another guy that did that was Osiris Grady, playing for Las Vegas Punishers. Really active, really impressive, 6'7" forward, inside outside guy, high level athlete. He was one of those guys. So I went over there and I'm watching the game on, like, we all done this before, right? We're watching the game on court 4,
Yep.
but you look over at court 2 or whatever, that other quarter is like, hey, wait a second, who's that guy?
Right.
Who's that dude? And so I kind of migrated my way over there and watched him for the rest of the day, and watched him a couple other times. But it was a really good opportunity to see him in action and to see him, I think, really raise his platform, raise his category. He's already been offered by a number of schools. He's already on the radar for a number of schools. He's been out there, been playing a lot. But I feel like he justified the intention or the activity that his recruiting has brought on as well as we get out there. So those Vegas guys on their own platform, I thought, did a really good job.
Man, sounds good to me, brother. And again, JY, I'll keep going forward, even to your point you made. I think it's important for everyone to understand too, like, you got to match up the best against the best, especially in this evaluation industry, in travel basketball and grassroots basketball, period, because that's the real way you'll be able to get an honest evaluation on how good these players are, what their projections will be long-term. And thankfully, we're finally getting back in the swing of things, man. It's exciting. I mean, we're getting close to full return, man. We are.
Because to your point, though, like, if I'm a college coach, like, if I have my own depth chart, if you will, on my office at our headquarters, if you will, if we have a recruiting room or wherever, and a lot of schools now have recruiting coordinators, and they've got some decisions, like, they've got a depth chart. Here's point guard number 1, here's point guard number 2, here's point guard number 3. And when they have recruiting meetings, guess what? They're moving these names around, and those head-to-head matchups, or watching film, decision making, how's his feel? I've heard that question so many times. How's his feel? How's his feel? How's his feel? And so, like, those are opportunities where you have a chance now to move your name up some different lists. Because here's the thing. If you're a really good shooting guard that can really knock down buckets, guess what? There's also a really good shooting guard that can knock down buckets. And probably if you're in a major city in the county over, or maybe in the state over. And so there's 5 guys, 6 guys that are all just like you on a recruiting board that a college coach is trying to make those decisions. So if you're consistently productive and you're leaning into the ceiling that you are as a prospect, that opportunity for you to move yourself up a depth chart goes up significantly when you take advantage of these regional situations that you have in front of you. So huge opportunity right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, JY, look, man, we want to get ready to go ahead and wrap this thing up. But hey, I know personally you got some stuff popping, man. Some West Coast stuff that's in the mix right now. Look, I'm gonna let you tell it, okay? Because I don't want to spill the beans, man. It's all you, JY. What you got cooking, man?
Yeah, so we've been working. Really excited. We're going to be launching the HoopSeen West Valley Jam event that's going to be coming in August 6th to the 8th here in Phoenix. We'll have some more details. I have a lot more information about it that we're still trying to tie up, but put that down on your calendar. August 6th, 7th, and 8th in the Phoenix area. I'm working with my guy, Justin the Show Vargas, on this. We're going to have a big-time opportunity in the state of Arizona for teams in the West. August 6th to the 8th, Phoenix area. More details will be coming on the site, hopefully very soon. The Valley Jam, baby. The Valley Jam. We're coming to the HoopSeen calendar at the beginning of August. So very excited about that, with a lot more details coming up. But Austin, I can't, Best of the South is going to be the jam.
But
it's going to be
Bob Gibbons. Bob Gibbons is coming.
Bob Gibbons is going to be the spot. Man. But there's something that's different about Best of South. Like Brandon Anthony, who does a lot of our graphics for us, send me something in the middle of the night, and I woke up. First thing I saw was our new graphics package for Best of South, and I was like, oh yeah, here we go. It's time. So you're gonna be seeing that a lot coming through. I mean, we've got dudes like Zion Williamson's played there, Sharif Cooper, Anthony Edwards, Cole Anthony. We've got all these dudes over the years that have played at that event that are killing it in the league or killing it in college. And so it's a stage that really doesn't have any comparison. I can't imagine. The city of Atlanta doesn't have anything like that for men's basketball. We're really excited to bring that back to downtown again after a year off. We cannot wait to get going again. Literally in the shadows of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, in the shadows of Centennial Olympic Park. We're down there at the World Congress Center. It is an absolute thing to see, and it's a thing to experience. And man, I can't wait to have teams. Again, I kind of riff, but it was so cool 2 years ago to seeing teams from New York and Minnesota and out west and Texas. And a lot of kids, is their first time being in Atlanta. Right. Some kids, it was the first time being in a major city, literally in the middle of the city. Right. And it was a really good opportunity. So if you're a travel coach, if you're a mentor of young men, Atlanta is such a great place for you to go to, that has so many great opportunities to educate, so many historical things that we can tie back to history. And if you really are a mentor, if you're a leader, what an unbelievable opportunity that you can do to really shed some information to the players that you work with. and to really share some experiences. And I think it's an experience that a lot of guys, particularly older guys that are coaching teams, to find really, really valuable. And one of the reasons why they coach and they mentor young men is opportunities like that to get outside of basketball and to really have some shared experiences that you can't find at any other place.
Man, JY, you giving me goosebumps, bro. I need to go register now. Let me find the team.
Let's go, baby. Get the Austin Smith All-Stars put together, man. Let's go.
Get out there and play it.
You'd probably go like 5-1 and be like, yo, man, I need like a contract extension.
Yeah, put me down. No, seriously though, man. The best of the South. You're right, Justin. I mean, it's an incredible event. And being right here in the city of Atlanta, it doesn't get any better.
It's pretty awesome, man.
Well, JY, man, that wraps up our itinerary for the day. Hey, everyone, remember, we got so much content for you on HoopSeen.com. Bob Gibbons coming up, Best of the South this summer. JY gave you that inside scoop on the Arizona event, August 6th through 8th, so stay tuned for those
Valley Jam. The Valley Jam.
The Valley Jam, man. Like,
let's go.
That's crazy, JY.
It's nice.
It's just really dope for sure. All right, everyone. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Just a Minute. As always, I'm your HoopSeen host, Austin Smith, and the guy to the next of me on the screen is our editor-in-chief here at HoopSeen.com, Justin Young. JY, thanks for another episode, brother.
Thanks, Austin.
Yes, sir.